Hello, welcome to another video from the Fantasy Legion. Alan Shawn back again. We're talking about some not exciting news, but the news that's going on, the sort of biggest news of the time as we're speaking.
It's irrelevant though, isn't it? All impacts.
Yeah, I mean, Antonio Brown recently charged. Russell Wilson's actually come out and said he'd love to have Antonio Brown on his team. What do you make of that? I mean, Antonio Brown could be a Seahawk.
Well, they've done some odd off-season moves already. The Seahawks. They're a team. They're a team that's kind of been stuck in a certain gear for a few years, in my view. I don't think they've made the best of the talents of the great players around them. And Russell Wilson's a great player that's been stuck in a system for a while. And yeah, I mean, it couldn't. Well, I say it couldn't harm them. It could, because of his track record with poisoning locker rooms isn't exactly exciting, is it? But then it is the Seahawks, and they do have a certain coaching style, which I think is exciting to work for. If anybody can bring the best out of it, it's got to be Pete Carroll, surely. It's got to be.
Yeah, maybe that sort of Seattle mentality. And
I mean, when you got a coach like Pete Carroll, who, you know, DK Metcalf comes into your room to sign his contract with his shirt off, and as a bit of fun, you take your own shirt off and stand next to him. And I mean, he's a great coach. I mean, it's that kind of motivation.
Yeah, he does look like he'd be a fun coach to work for, doesn't he? Look, the Legion of Boom were amazing a few years back, weren't they? They were incredible defense, weren't they?
People only speak highly of the coach. So, I mean, if anybody can bring the best out of Brown, it could well be this coach. And okay, it may not be a match made in perfect heaven, but it might work for a few seasons. So that could work for them, and it would certainly open up the game a little bit more for Seattle, make it relevant.
I mean, we want to see players like Antonio Brown. I mean, for all his off-field antics, he's a great player to watch. We want to see him on the field, and I certainly do, because I picked him late in a dynasty league. But that's my own biased reason. So they've also picked up Carlos Hyde. To cover. They said to cover Rashard Penny, who's going to might start the year on PUP. So bear that in mind if you're drafting. You're going to be 6 to 8 weeks without probably Penny, and then obviously he's playing catch up anyway. Carlos Hyde, he's one of those players who started to sort of ruin backfields. People, the Carson owners and the Penny owners. He's one of those sort of players, and Devontae Freeman's going to be another one. Lamar Miller will probably join somebody later on. These sort of players that turn up and sort of cause the running backfields to be a bit murkier.
Yeah, I think it's fairly straightforward. I think with the Seattle Seahawks, there's plenty of running room there for them to run out two running backs if they need to. Carson's got a kind of a steady workload that he's had for a while. I think Carlos Hyde can come in and do some relief duty, but he's coming back off an injury as well. So
yeah, he's got a torn labrum. Yeah,
it's not straightforward. But I think it's a good gig for Carlos Hyde, and he was a 1,000-yard rusher last year. So he's certainly useful to the Seahawks. If anything happens to Carson, I think he becomes very relevant very quickly, particularly at the beginning of the season. So a brilliant little target maybe in the latter rounds for those who have gone very heavy wide receiver who want to try and steal away a starting running back. That would be potentially a good pick for fantasy.
Yeah, definitely. Another bit of news is out this week is that Devontae Freeman, obviously, he's trying to hold out for a contract of a certain amount, and he says he could even skip this year. Is he a player?
Well, he skipped the last two. So, he skipped the last couple, to be fair.
Not officially, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, he skipped the last couple if you're in fantasy. I don't know if Devontae Freeman noticed fantasy the last couple of years. Hey, mate, listen, anybody that picked you wasn't getting much. So, yeah, skip away. I won't be going anywhere near him. No, he's not on any list. He wasn't on any list.
He will sign somewhere, won't he? And he will, muddy the waters somewhere.
He might sign. I mean,
or someone's injured during the season. He could be one of the players that.
There's a few running backs out there that have got a pedigree that are still young enough, capable enough, that are on the edges, haven't been picked up yet, who could come back. So,
what was interesting was, I mean, we did a best ball recently on MFL, my fantasy league, and he wasn't even listed as one of the players. So John picked him up sneakily late, so he's obviously hoping that he'll turn into something. And, it's not a bad pick. I mean, if everyone's forgot about him and you can pick him up really, really late in a best ball, then, or any draft, really,
Yeah, I love it. I love it when people pick up players like this that sit there in best ball week after week and don't do nothing.
Well, you could
I
do
love that.
something. He is the
He
sort of
could,
player, he's done it before.
he could, but it's
You know,
yeah,
when you get into picking like the people you really hate yourself for picking, then he's all right, isn't he?
yeah. That's fair enough. I mean, but he could just sit there for the entirety of his season on an official bye week every week.
Now, I don't know if they're going to be doing this sort of state by state, but the sort of the New York governor's come out and said that it's okay for teams to do OTAs and things like that. I mean, sure, they're going to be doing a load of testing. They're doing that in the English Premier League, the football over here at the moment.
Yes, it's very difficult because obviously public perception, as we've recently seen here in the UK,
Yeah.
and what people do needs to be very. You have to be very mindful because everybody is. We're all trying to do what we've been asked to do, which is socially distance, and we're all trying to follow the rules that have been laid out. So, sport people will be looking for the same for sport. Some sports it's a little easier to social distance and still have what I would call a decent workout and not have like football, British football, soccer. It's a much easier one to socially distance in, whereas American football requires contact as part of training. That's very important. So without that, it's very difficult because you can't even put players in a line next to each other. There's some real issues here.
I mean, they'll do all the testing, though, won't they, to make it safe as they can. I think there will be a season. I mean, there is a doubt, obviously, but I think the season will go ahead. People are already sort of rookies are meeting up. I mean, Baker Mayfield got a load of his receivers out to throw the ball to. Just to, you've got to get that chemistry there. So obviously it is going to affect rookies a little bit probably. But the camps are happening. I think on the, I don't really want to say down though, but it is going ahead. Obviously the governor of New York said it's okay for teams to meet. So
yeah, it'll open up.
Starting to sort of get towards normality.
It'll open up more and more over the next 3 weeks or so. And as you say, I think that it's too big. It's too big a sport, like you said way back. It's too big a sport. It's too important to the American psyche.
Well, we need football, even if we can't go out and watch it in the stands.
Yeah,
I mean, I know I went to quite a few games last year, 4 or 5, I think. So if we can't go out and watch it in the stands, at least you want to watch it. You want to be able to watch it on telly. It's going to be weird without crowds there, isn't it?
Well, again, we won't know more until we get nearer the time. But at the moment, it is looking like it'll go ahead. You are right. It's going to be very, very much, very heavily tested. They're going to be very looked after the players, which is fair enough. If there's any doubt over someone's health, then obviously they will be pulled from a game. And that's going to create very big potential impacts on fantasy, things that last minute we can't foresee. I tell you, it's going to be really a wild roller coaster here.
Well, I don't see how Trump could really be against it. I don't really want to bring politics, but he said he won't go to a rally unless the crowd's allowed to mingle 100%, and this is I think in July or something, in North Carolina. I think it's North Carolina, and he's having a rally, and he said, he wants there to be a full crowd there. So, football should be okay if you're going by those standards. There can't be double standards.
I think it will be, but I think the problem will be what you have to do is temper. There's still going to be every precaution taken, even if we assume crowds were fully back.
They have to do all the testing. They have to test everybody.
Even if we assume it's fully back to a full crowd come September. Let's imagine.
I don't think it will be.
I agree, but let's say it was to some degree. There was a full crowd and some kind of testing as people went in. Don't know what that would look like. Don't know how feasible that is. I'm just speculating. Right. Even if you take the crowds out of it, then the players are still going to be tested. If any player has any doubt on him, he will be pulled. And the other thing is what this will do to OTAs and the way training camps will happen is the biggest impact will be on wide receivers, funnily enough. So the wide receivers will struggle the most, rookies, because they won't have all the workout you would normally have to get the timing down. Running backs will be less.
They have been meeting up, though. I think all the quarterbacks and the rookies, they have been meeting up. So
yeah, but it's different between a rookie wide receiver has to be able to work with what I would call, every level. There's a new standard you have to meet. The rookie wide receivers are no different. You're coming into the NFL, it's the very best of the best. Yes, you faced the best at college level, and you were the best at what you do. You're now going into the NFL. You're facing the best corners and safeties. So there's new nuances, new skills that you have to pick up here. So, won't be able to have those initially. It will take a few weeks. It will be a bit more slower for them to come in. Some might flourish under the lights, might flourish. But you just have to be realistic and temper a little bit that it could be a slightly slower start for the wide receivers before they get going.
But
And that's not
they're normally slow starts anyway. There's not many that play a lot early on, but there are paths. I mean, you expect Judy to play quite early, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Who else are Denver going to throw to? They've got Cortland Sutton.
Yeah. I do expect some of these players
to be
wide
receiver. Would you expect him to be wide receiver too there, Judy, from the get-go?
Yeah, I do, yeah. It's the same with Justin Jefferson. I expect him to be the wide receiver too from the get-go, yeah, I do. Well, I expect Runts to try to become the number one there in the Raiders, but expect him to have quite a tough start because he'll be heavily covered by the best. But he could prove to be exceptional just by being peppered with targets, So we'll have to wait and see. But it's definitely harder for the wide receivers coming in my view, because you don't have the timing down, and this will definitely slow them down. This will definitely impact it. So you're right. It often is the case that there's a few weeks into the season before they get going. It could be impacted a little bit more. So we just have to be just that little bit more mindful of it.
Yeah, certainly going to be interesting. I'd love to see, as a viewer, what you guys think as well. I mean, do you think I saw somebody in one of our leagues saying there's going to be no meaningful football this year. I really hope that's not true. I think there will be. Money always talks. I mean, the television rights are, are massive. And I think we need it. I think the world, and us fans, we need football. We need this outlet. I mean, the Bundesliga in Germany have started playing, and, everyone all over the world's watching because there isn't a lot to watch, is there?
No, that's very true. I mean, we got to hope now we're on a road to recovery with it. But we'll know more in the next 3 weeks are critical, really, I think. I think it's looking very good. I was a bit more hopeful a few weeks ago. It was more than 50-50 in my mind. I think it's now 70-30 in favour of the NFL going ahead in a meaningful fashion in one way.
I think it will go ahead, maybe behind closed doors early on, and then, as long as we don't get a horrible second wave, then we might be able to add fans in. Because they blamed a lot of sporting events for spreading it over here. One of the things I went to, the Cheltenham Festival, has been blamed. And it's really hard not to go. And Liverpool game, I think the Liverpool Champions game was one of the things blamed in this country for spreading it. So
I know we don't want to get into the politics of everything here, but and that's fair. But there is just something else
of what's going on, though, isn't it?
Yeah, there is something else that was raised. I thought very well by a medical professor, who made a very valid point. Was about this COVID virus. It was inevitable we were going to be hit by something. And he raised the point that the biggest issue that faces and talked about sport, this was all about sport. And his biggest thing was that because we've over-prescribed over the last few years, particularly in sport, and in us as well as normal people, we've kind of over-prescribed with the, I've forgotten the word of it now, what do they give you every time a meal, they give you the same thing, antibiotics. We've over-prescribed all our sports people every antibiotic. He said that's the issue now with a lot of these viruses, that our bodies, antibiotics won't cure it anymore. So we're very susceptible now to these kind of things going on. So he does believe more that you have to open up the sport, the herd mentality, if you will, not stupid mentality. If it was going to risk countless lives, you wouldn't do it. But if it was only risking the vulnerable, then you test appropriately, as the NFL will likely do, take all the precautions you can, and then you move forward from there. And if you've got any risk over a player's health, they won't play. And
exactly. It's tough because a lot of people have been told to return to training, and then some saying I can't because Troy Deeney's one in England. He says I can't go back to training because my daughter's got asthma, and
fair enough.
And if I caught something and gave it to her, and I'd never be able to live with myself. And it's too risky for me to do that.
There are a few players in the NFL who would be counted as high risk. I can think of one straight off the top of my head. James Conner would be an example of a high risk player who may have to be very, very careful when he gets back into any meaningful training because of all the other health concerns he's had. There's a lot of things.
John Brown's got sickle cell. I don't know if
that would certainly count as high risk. So they'd have to be ultra cautious. But then people will be very careful with them, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll do a comprehensive testing program. They have to make it safe for everyone. As much as they can. They've got to be seen to be doing everything in their power to make it happen. And that's what they need to do, and that's what they will do, I think. And we will get football. I think we should. I will. I'm confident.
Yeah, well, I am too, and I don't want to dwell on the negativity. I'm absolutely certain that we will have, and I think you're right what you said. I think the money is too big. It's too big an importance for the psyche of the American culture. It's too big. I just think it has to go ahead. We're lucky where it is as a seasonal thing. Being a bit Cinderella-ish has actually proved lucky in this case. If it hit it bang in the season would have been over, and that would have been the biggest disappointment, I think, for a long time for many of us as fans.
It has. I mean, it's affected a lot of sporting events, all over the world, and we need our sports, don't we? We need them.
We do
as a people. Well, that's we love it. We need it. It's needed.
It's bread and circuses. I need my outlet valve. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
very good.
If you can't shout at your crap fantasy players for dropping footballs, I mean, how do you vent your anger? Where does it all go?
Yeah, there's
got to be done, isn't it?
It's the euphoria or the disappointment. That's what comes on a Sunday. That's the thing you're invested.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts on it, on the news, and basically on. Do you think the season will go ahead? Because it's kind of an interesting, kind of what this video has turned into in the end, doesn't it? Really, bit of news and a bit. Obviously, Corona's dominating the news the world over at the moment. So let's fingers crossed that we all get to and we've been talking about our live draft. We might have to go on something like this or Microsoft Teams to do it.
There's an old saying, isn't there, that art imitates life, and I think we are going to imitate life because the NFL went virtual. I still will go virtual in our live drafts for this one season, so I'm sure that's what will happen.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because safety is paramount for us as it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried. Like we have to consider, like anybody that's potentially, you may have home leagues or office leagues or all sorts of things where it may have to be a virtual draft as well. You may have to consider different tools. We have to consider that. And, even though there have been some talk around the size of the room for social distancing, I get the concerns, but that's the least of our worries. If we get any, like we are at the moment, I mean, we'd have to be honest and say, it's probably going to have to be virtual, isn't it? The reality of our live draft, it's probably going to have to,
Safety,
but that's the way. But as long as it goes ahead, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as long as the season goes ahead and the drafts go ahead, then it's all good, isn't it? Well, if you've enjoyed the video, thanks for watching. We'd love to know your thoughts. Does football go ahead or is it cancelled? So, will we have crowds? When will we have crowds? Maybe. Hopefully, we don't get a second wave. So.
Well, being a Rams fan, we don't get crowds. Just thought I'd throw that in.
Well, it's true, actually, isn't it? It's a bit sad, really, isn't it?
Yeah, we don't get many people. Don't get them. I don't know why. Maybe it's the standard of football. I don't know.
Yeah, LA were crying out for a team as well, weren't they? So, I don't know.
Yeah,
it'll pick up, I think. Anyway, if you've enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up. And if you want to see more, and there's plenty of Dynasty stuff going on at the moment. So we've got lots of videos there. Breaking down leagues. We're happy to break down your leagues. We'll answer any comments you've got. So we'll see you on the next one.